I did what many people used to do. When you don't know what you want to do in life, you do MBA.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I did my B school with a very clear focus that I wanted to come back to India. And everything that I've learned in tech, how do I apply the best of those learning and innovation in making a difference in India? And I don't know how it works today, but in those days, to get to know your rank, you would have to go and under the library, they would put a printout.
Yeah.
And there'll be a long queue outside. Does it still happen?
No.
It doesn't happen. So sad that it doesn't happen. And there would be the seniors who would be ready to rag you. As soon as you find out you're one of the rankers, they'll come and drag you. But anyway, on that day, I felt special.
Right.
A 241 rank person, feeling genuinely like someone who's special and distinguished, to very soon when I entered into the campus and institution, realizing that I'm actually ordinary. There are many, many more special people and the whole institution is filled with special people, was the first part.
Yeah.
But in that institution, when you're with a group of people for whom nothing short of excellence means success, that was the start of shaping what I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
Want to start something, be an entrepreneur, and you're not finding the right idea, go to an institution which is entrepreneurial, which is McKinsey. So I joined McKinsey in their Mumbai office, and again, just by chance that my first project happened to be in financial services.
Yeah.
And that financial services, when I entered that industry, I realized that technology and financial services can make a huge difference in India. I'm talking about now 2008 to 13.
Yeah.
The 5 years I spent there. During that time, all the things we take for granted today on the fintech side, financial technology side, Aadhaar, UPI, payments, easiness, all of this did not exist.
Yes.
Financial services was a pain.
Yes.
And what we talk about financial inclusion today was non-existent then. If you're not a salaried person, if you're not in big metros, basically the financial services did not exist for you. And that 5 years where I was serving large banks in India, PSU banks largely, other institutions, I realized here is my calling. I can really use my technology background, financial services expertise to make a difference.
Right.
Then it was an obvious move for you. It was literally waiting for me to happen. I took the plunge.
Yeah.
I started what I'm doing right now. I started a financial technology company. What we do essentially are do loans to what we call as the lower income mass market group. These are people who do not get a loan from traditional banks and non-banking finance companies. And who are these people we are talking about? These are small business owners, kirana shop owners, grocery outlet owners, maybe they're thela-walas who are selling samosas on the roadside. Sure. They're also gig workers, the people who are Uber drivers, Swiggy, delivery boys.
Yeah.
It's not easy for them to get a loan, and we thought we can use our expertise in data, in tech, and understanding of financial services to make loans available.
Right.
I would say two things, right? The batch, my batch, and I would say one batch, upar and niche, right, have moved with me, right? The friendships I've made, the associations I've made, the direct associations have really helped me along the way.
Yeah.
Right? They are still some of my closest friends, and of course, the wingmates are someone to die for, right? They are chaddi buddies. But then, the larger batchmates that I'm talking about, every sphere, whenever I needed a sounding board, there was someone, right? When I moved to the US, there were a couple of people who had moved before me. They were trailblazers. When I came back to India, big decision. Back in 2008,
Absolutely.
There were not too many people who used to come back to India, but there were always few people who came back and had already excelled.
Yeah.
Trailblazers before me. So, that group of people, there was always someone who's been through similar challenges and excelled, who was always there to guide and mentor. And I think that was the other part, just having a sounding board.
Hi folks, in this episode of Dil Se IIT Delhi podcast, we have Mr. Krishnan Vishwanathan, who is an electrical engineer from the batch of 1998. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good to be here.
We would like to begin from your story, from the very beginning, and where does the transition happen?
It's a very, very long story, and it's not so much a transition as a journey.
Yeah.
And the journey starts with, just the beginning when I entered IIT. I remember the day in 1994, and I don't know how it works today, but in those days, to get to know your rank, you would have to go and under the library, they would put a printout.
Yeah.
And there'll be a long queue outside. Does it still happen?
No.
It doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
sad that it doesn't happen. And there would be the seniors who would be ready to drag you. As soon as you find out you're one of the rankers, they'll come and drag you. But anyway, on that day, I felt special.
Right.
A 241 rank person, feeling genuinely like someone who's special and distinguished, to very soon when I entered into the campus and institution, realizing that I'm actually ordinary. There are many, many more special people, and the whole institution is filled with special people, was the first part.
Yeah.
But in that institution, when you're with a group of people for whom nothing short of excellence means success, that was the start of shaping what I wanted to do with my life.
Right.
Of course, my journey started in deep tech. I moved to San Jose. I was a semiconductor engineer. Even in IIT, within electrical, VLSI, it's semiconductors. I don't know if you're an engineer or not, was a field I was very interested in.
Yes.
Bangalore was in its infancy as a Silicon Valley capital of India. Got there, really, really found my way into excellence. But very soon, when I say very soon, it's relative. With 5-6 years, I realized I had to do something beyond deep tech. I wanted to really understand how technology can make a difference in the larger society, in the larger private sector, within government, more broadly, rather than being cocooned as just being very, very into the deep tech part of it. And this is one aspect of IIT education then, which I believe has transformed now, where it was very engineering focused, at least at that point in time. And I did what many people used to do. When you don't know what you want to do in life, you do MBA.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I did my B school with a very clear focus that I wanted to come back to India. And everything that I've learned in tech, how do I apply the best of those learning and innovation in making a difference in India? I came back to India. I started this back in 2008 now, 10 years after graduating.
Yes.
Actually came back to start a social venture fund. While I was in the US, I got close to a couple of luminaries. They really encouraged me to come to India and do something on the social venture side.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 2008 was also the time of global crisis. Yeah. Couldn't make it happen. So I did the next best thing. If you want to start something, be an entrepreneur, and you are not finding the right idea, go to an institution which is entrepreneurial, which is McKinsey. So I joined McKinsey in their Mumbai office, and again, just by chance that my first project happened to be in financial services.
Yeah.
And that financial services, when I entered that industry, I realized that technology and financial services can make a huge difference in India. I'm talking about now 2008 to 13.
Yeah.
The 5 years I spent there. During that time, all the things we take for granted today on the fintech side, financial technology side, Aadhaar, UPI, payments, easiness, all of this did not exist.
Yes.
Financial services was a pain.
Yes.
And what we talk about financial inclusion today was non-existent then. True. If you're not a salaried person, if you're not in big metros, basically the financial services did not exist for you. And that 5 years where I was serving large banks in India, PSU banks largely, other institutions, I realized here is my calling. I can really use my technology background, financial services expertise to make a difference.
Right.
Then it was an obvious move for you. It was literally waiting for me to happen. I took the plunge.
Yeah.
I started what I'm doing right now. I started a financial technology company. What we do essentially are do loans to what we call as the lower income mass market group. These are people who do not get a loan from traditional banks and non-banking finance companies. And who are these people we are talking about? These are small business owners, kirana shop owners, grocery outlet owners, maybe they're thelawalas who are selling samosas on the roadside. Sure. They're also gig workers, the people who are Uber drivers, Swiggy, delivery boys. Yeah. It's not easy for them to get a loan, and we thought we can use our expertise in data, in tech, and understanding of financial services to make loans available to them. That's where I am today. Been doing this for now 6-7 years.
Yes.
Running what I would say is one of the largest financial technology company on the lending side in India, and happy to be where I am.
So obviously there is a lot of overlap in terms of what other fintech players are doing in the market. What is it that sustains you to keep treading the path?
See, at a personal level or as a company?
Personal level.
See, at a personal level, one of the things that keeps sustaining me is I don't get satisfied very easily. And put another way, I also get bored very easily.
Right.
Right? Number one, there has to be something new every day, and there has to be a goal that I genuinely feel has made a difference. Despite the fact that, like I said, we are one of the largest lending fintechs in India, I do not think either of those aspects have changed. The newness exists today.
Yes.
Right? And newness exists because I have, as a company and as a person, managed to create inclusion even today in the larger centers in India. There is an even bigger opportunity and even bigger disparity as I go into lower tier rural areas, and that is an aspect which I haven't even touched.
Yeah.
There are new levels of innovation required there, both in terms of understanding credit and in terms of understanding the segment I'm catering to. A farmer is very different from the small business owner I'm talking about, right? And therefore, the newness still exists. There is still a lot of scope for improvement. And the other part is, what is ultimate success for me? Ultimate success for me is genuinely creating an institution that is enduring beyond me.
Right.
Right. It is what I would say, RIL is today. I don't think Dhirubhai Ambani would have been proud of RIL, say, even 30 years back. It has taken a 50-year journey. He started late 70s. It's taken a 50-year journey.
Sure.
And I want to have I'm not saying we are aspiring to be that, but I want an enduring institution behind me that outlives me.
Right.
And I don't think I've achieved that yet.
That's a brilliant thought. What is it that IIT provides in terms of nurturing the vision that you carry?
So let me put it in two parts. One is what the 4 years at IIT really helped me, and what on an ongoing basis I think IIT as an institution has helped me and probably do better at helping me as well. First, let me talk about the 4 years I spent there, right? What was really good about those 4 years, I feel, which is perhaps a little bit of a dichotomy in terms of how education is thought about. There was depth in what you do. It may not be directly relatable to the work you do post that.
Yeah.
But the entire education emphasis at IIT was to be deep in a topic, understand that better, and therefore it literally created a mindset that you have to be an expert at something and then succeed at it. So this whole idea that I had to learn from the beginning anything new and become a master at it is something that had stayed with me.
Yeah.
And there were certain professors I really admired and along the way. So that is just the 4 years. The second part of those 4 years that really helped me, IIT was also about overall growth personality. People who are not in IIT don't realize that. I would say 30-40% of my time was academics. 60-70% of my time was BRCA. You would know what BRCA is. For a lot of the outside world, it's the Board for Recreational Cultural Activities. I was an out and out Portu guy. I was part of the Jwalamukhi hostel. I was a quizzing club secretary. I won the best club award. First time quizzing club won that best club award since BRCA got instituted.
Yeah.
So a lot of firsts, but that aspect about it's not just about academics. That 4 years really gives you opportunity both on the cultural side as well as on the sports side. Of course, the Inter-IIT sports meet was something that I really look forward to every year.
Yes.
That was the other aspect, that it was always about wholesome growth as a personality, which has helped me on the professional sphere. On an ongoing basis, I would say two things, right? The batch, my batch, and I would say one batch, upar and niche, right, have moved with me, right? The friendships I've made, the associations I've made, the direct associations have really helped me along the way, right? They are still some of my closest friends, and of course, the wingmates are someone to die for, right? They are chuddy buddies. But then, the larger batchmates that I'm talking about, every sphere, whenever I needed a sounding board, there was someone, right? When I moved to the US, there were a couple of people who had moved before me. They were trailblazers. When I came back to India, big decision. Back in 2008, there were not too many people who used to come back to India, but there were always few people who came back and had already excelled. Trailblazers before me. So, that group of people, there was always someone who's been through similar challenges and excelled, who was always there to guide and mentor. And I think that was the other part, just having a sounding board. As an institution, I think more recently, and this is something that IIT, the Alumni Association more formally, has started really gelling, right? There are Bombay chapters, which is very, very active. There's a Bombay FinTech chapter, which is very, very active. And therefore, now the cross-pollination in terms of knowledge sharing, network sharing has become something that I'm using today.
Yeah.
This didn't exist 4-5 years back,
Sure,
right?
sure.
There is at least one person, Rohit Koshi from my batch, who's been like, I mean, he is super energetic.
Yeah.
He's an energizer bunny, right?
Yeah.
But you need people like that.
Yeah.
And that formal structure, which I think has really mushroomed in the last 4-5 years, is really helping me today from a network standpoint to propagate and learn as I go along.
Yeah, so we had sat down with Mr. Koshi as well, and other alumni as well. One part is that they all resonate with the fact that IIT was a good leveler after you enter, and the other aspect of the networking, which you mentioned, is absolutely valuable, not just for your alumni but for the students as well.
Yes.
So, is there anything which you think the current crop which is coming out needs to look for in terms of navigating the current industry?
So I don't think there is a simple answer, but I'll make a best attempt to do it. See, the professional landscape has changed significantly from the time when I started in '98, right, post my graduation. Degree mattered a lot more, right? Where you got your degree mattered a lot more. Oftentimes, if you didn't have a certain step, certain opportunities were non-existent. Those things have changed, and one of the things that IIT Delhi students should realize today, that the world is slightly more democratic today in terms of opportunities. They will have to compete a lot more. The brand of IIT Delhi is still as strong, but where people will not look beyond IIT Delhi, that is not true anymore.
Right.
And then the one thing that I would really urge them to do is use those 4 years to not just be within the confines of the institution, but really broad base your awareness, knowledge, understanding of what's happening outside. It could be, of course, with senior alumni. That's probably the first port of call. I understand already, in my time, there used to be internship only at the end of third year, but these days it's encouraged that you do internship every summer. Those are things I would really urge them to do more, because I think the professional growth has really become much more fast-paced and accelerated today. There's a lot more expectation on what a student is at the time of graduation than at my time. I think people would have been more patient with me then. So that is just one thing. Just become much more aware, more well-connected, and make an effort. Second thing I would say is, multidisciplinary.
Right.
I think world is super multidisciplinary right now. Aspects like data particularly cuts across every stream, right? Right from humanities to commerce to any branch of science that you can think of. So be a little bit multidisciplinary in the approach. Again, I mean, it seems like I was in a different era of IIT, but the B school had started only in '97. But I understand now that it's far more integrated into the engineering courses. Those are things that are absolutely required. So if the institution already provided that opportunity, that's great. But being multidisciplinary is important. So I still remember I did a minor in computers while majoring in electrical. And that was something I really helped me along the way. I don't know if that same structure holds now. Can you do 2 minors, 3 minors? Can you pick and choose? So if the institution is providing that flexibility, students should maximize that and really broad base their knowledge base.
But an overview. So you might have an overview of what is going on in IIT and what the basic ethos has been, right? What difference did you see between your time in US in the university and IIT?
Two things. I think it's slightly difficult to compare because an MBA school is slightly different from an engineering school. So to that extent, but let me say that in India in general and IIT in particular, there is respect for knowledge. There is respect for community. There is respect for institution. I think slightly more so. It's a more informal culture there. I'm not saying it in a good or a bad way.
Okay.
It's but that makes your DNA in a certain way, right? Which I think helps you, which creates balance, in the way you think and live your life. That's just one aspect.
Yeah.
I think the second aspect, particularly in IIT, which is very different, is because of the fact that IIT is subsidized education.
Yeah.
There really is genuinely a very, very nice mix of people you go and meet, right? I mean, when I entered IIT, I come from a defense background. My circle of knowledge was cantonment and big metros.
Right.
And then suddenly you're an institution who come from the smallest towns in Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, and your perspective changes.
Yeah.
US universities being expensive, there is a certain class of people who do there, but IIT is a great leveler, right?
Yeah.
It creates an opportunity for a segment of the society and geography where anyone can come and excel. And I think that's the other big difference I see. Just a very cosmopolitan nature, both geographically, socially, economically. What a heady mix of people I was with. All of them excelled, but their backgrounds were so different from each other.
Yeah. I would understand that IIT would provide a certain mindset which might have a common thread between all the folks, right? It has to do with the technological aspect of it, the analytical aspect of it, the depth that you talked about. What is it that might set a section of people from IIT apart from the others? What is it? What is the secret sauce to be successful in the professional world or as an entrepreneur?
The biggest secret sauce, and I'll come to how IIT is absolutely relevant for it. I think the biggest secret sauce, sorry for sounding cliched, is hard work and resilience. Right? India, in many ways, is very similar to Western economies, that it's very, very highly competitive. And there is never a Coke formula if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur. So while there may be an opportunity and there may be an idea that can disrupt, what ultimately leads to success is perseverance, hard work, and resilience, which is basically saying that implementation focus. Right? And that is not a overnight game. Many people think, and all the people who thought have actually burned their fingers, that startup success is an overnight journey. It is not, right? The people who became overnight success became second overnight failures as well. Right? If you want to be successful, and sorry, I'm using non-Indian names, think Google, think Amazon, they were all 20, 30-year journey. 1994 is when Amazon first bookshop he started. 97 he incorporated the company, really became meaningfully big in 2010. So it's been a journey. So there's no shortcut to success, right? And in those days there used to be information disparity, but with internet, with data being available on fingertips, there's no information disparity now. So in that world, to succeed, you got to be patient, and that's the first thing that I would say IIT really taught you hard. Because just getting into IIT was tough. So you had to really work hard. You can't do an overnight parachute into IIT, right? And then through those 4 years, it may not be as stressful as getting into IIT, but it required a continued, consistent effort on your part to at least maintain and excel. Right? And I think that molding of you has stood me apart, and I think all of us apart, for that matter. I think that's the number one thing. I think the number two thing I would say is innovation. Now, the innovative bent to do something new and different. I'm just trying to relate how IIT has molded. I almost want to see what I do see is I see that trait in a lot of the IITians. To what extent is those set of people joining IIT, or to what extent is the institution focused? But one clear thing that I see is there is a very strong innovation bent, including the people from IIT who went into IAS. You can tell that they want to make a difference. I have some close friends. They want to make a difference, right? They think differently on how government should operate. So that mindset and bent of doing something differently, innovatively, is also something that I associate with all IIT. And then, and perhaps it's to do with the fact that some of the brightest minds end up joining IIT. It's to do with the fact that there is a history, there is a legacy to the institution that just makes you think and feel different. And you keep thinking you're different, you end up being different, right? And also, giving credit to a lot of the professors we worked with. Some of them were really excelling in their field, had gone studied abroad, came back to IIT with a single purpose of saying, I want to impart that quality of education back to the students here. And I know for a fact there are a couple of professors who probably may have taken significant pay cut to do that. And you know, those kind of thought process and those kind of, you know, access and acquaintance with those individuals makes a difference. Yeah.
Does the location play a good role in your decision making and carrying this entity forward?
Sorry, in the context of my company operating where? Sorry, I didn't
In Mumbai. So I would understand that Mumbai is already a lot of institutions which are old, age old, right? And Bangalore being a hub for startups and a lot of financial startups as well. Does your location in Mumbai help you in any way?
So there are two aspects to it.
Yeah.
One is talent who will help you run the company. You're not a Superman.
Yeah.
And the second is who are you catering to? If I were to use two lenses, I think for the latter it doesn't matter because we and I would say many institutions today are so digital first that geography from a serving standpoint is agnostic. Today I pretty much am serving consumers in every corner of India, Northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Kerala, everywhere, right? So from that aspect, it has become less. When in the olden days, when it was much more a branch-based architecture, you have to really think where your customers are and therefore where do I put my branches. But from a talent sourcing standpoint, it does matter and it matters significantly. Even today, I feel, you know, Bangalore has an advantage over any other city in India for the field I'm in, right? I do need the best tech and data talent. And nothing short of the best will work. And there is a magnet that takes people there, and for a reason, right? If you are an up and coming talent in technology and data, you would want to be in Bangalore because there are 10 or 12, there are maybe 2-3 good companies in Mumbai, there are 20 good companies in Delhi, in Bangalore, maybe 5 good companies in Delhi NCR. So the best talent will migrate there. So to that extent, you know, finding the right talent, Bangalore is still good. There is a flip side to it. Retaining talent is easier in Mumbai because once you are in Mumbai, you love the city. And if you don't want to move out of Mumbai, there are not too many other peers you have to compete with, right? So there are, once you get the right talent, they tend to stay with you longer. So I think those are the benefits. I think largely this is more at a personal level. I spent my first 1.5 years after IIT at Bangalore. So I know I'm talking about 98 and 99. And now after coming back to India, I've been in Mumbai for the last 15 years. Pre-IIT, I was all over India. At least now if I compare Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore, I think all three cities have their own charm. You live in any of those cities, you would grow to love them, right? So from a cultural standpoint, I'm a person, you know, Abhivi, I love Delhi and, my son is a chess player. I take him to Delhi quite often for tournaments. And one of the tournaments was in Indira Gandhi Stadium. And we just stayed in a Airbnb in Daryaganj. And you know, आज भी Sunday book bazaar होता है वहाँ पे. I did not know it exists today. Who reads books? Right? But it is still prevalent, and there was a full street of books. And you know, those are aspects of Delhi I will continue to love forever. Absolutely. And same thing. So you know, at a personal level, I'm happy with any of the three cities. But I think from a talent standpoint, there's more talent in Bangalore.
So what is the differentiator which makes good talent and average?
I would say two things. One, of course, is knowledge and competence, which can be learned along the way. But then for that, which is the second part, I think there has to be an attitude towards hard work. And there are certain personality traits which anybody can develop, but one has to do it, right? First, once you have the knowledge, how do you think about it? At least I feel every person in the professional domain has to be entrepreneurial. Individually. It is not that just because you're the head of the company, the entrepreneurial load is on you. I think that is a very, very wrong mindset. I think that is one place where India can learn a lot from, or perhaps has already learned. But if I were to go back 20, 30 years back, I think Silicon Valley, those places where as an individual, if you start thinking like an entrepreneur, you start thinking like, even if this is the domain I'm working in, what could be things that are different? I think that mindset is very important, and I would really encourage all the students today to develop that mindset. You know, as one says, every day is a new day. And every day you have to think, what can I do differently? How can I excel myself? How can I improve myself? And if you are on that path of continuous improvement and think like that, that's what differentiates. Knowledge will equalize eventually.
What is the thing that you would have done differently now in retrospect, back in IIT?
I would have done what I advise students to do: be slightly more world aware. And I'm genuinely saying that because I was like, I didn't care what my career would be. I went through the motion. I was very much into cultural activities, sports activities. I enjoy doing those things. And I said, जब fourth year आएगा तो सोचेंगे करना क्या है life में, right?
Right.
पहली job मिलेगी देखेंगे, job मिल जाए ठीक है, let's move on in life, right? I don't think that's a very good attitude to have, right? How would it have helped me? Perhaps it would have accelerated some of my, where I am today. It has taken me 25 years. Perhaps I would have reached 5 years. You can ask, what did you gain by, what would you have gained by saving those 5 years? Perhaps nothing, right? I enjoyed my 4 years. So I don't know whether I genuinely regret, but I think just being more aware of what are the opportunities while spending those 4 years will really help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Any fond memories back from the hostel which you might want to share with us?
I think one of the things I already shared, which is that I was a quizzer through and through.
Yeah.
And, it was not a club which was super popular. And I felt that I did my part in introducing innovation within that. More audiovisual quizzes, more types of themes within the quizzes, etc. And really opened it up. It was far more an intellectual group who would do quizzing, right? And to make it more broad-based. So, for example, we had a Jagjit Singh quiz, right? So, just as an example, right? So, and the fact that it was acknowledged and like we won the best club award. It's a small anecdote in the larger scheme of things. It's a quizzing club in an institution, but it's one of my fondest memories, right? And that's one. I think the other fond memory that it's an ongoing memory.
Okay.
There are some 7 or 8 very long-lasting relationships, right? That I carry with today. They are all my wingmates. My roommate in my first year, we had a shared room in the first year. And then all those 7-8 people who are my neighbors, right? I don't know whether it's unparliamentary or impractical to say that, but Daru sessions we had, some heartaches we shared, some exuberances we shared. I mean, unbelievable experience,
So, coming to the conclusion of this conversation, if there is something you want to say to your community, to your friends, to the students looking up to you, something they'll say, that's your camera.
So, few things I will say. Number one, don't be satisfied with life. Always think what you can do better. Number two, think big. Think really, really big. Think how you can make a difference to the country, to the world perhaps, to the larger community. That's the second thing I will say. And the last thing I would say is, just have fun. Just have fun in life. Think of your family, travel around the world, and do as much masti as you can while not compromising on the earlier things that I said.
Thank you so much for the time, sir.
My pleasure.
I hope this was a good conversation for you to reminisce the memories.
No, it has been. And now I am really, really encouraged to go through all of your other podcasts and really live through some of the memories of all of my other peers as well.
Absolutely. We would have loved to have this conversation on campus. If you have the time and you are visiting Delhi, I would really request to visit the campus, visit our office, and to just put this one bit where we do a rapid fire.
Sure.
Where we just try to understand inclinations. So your hostel or your department?
So tough. Hostel, sorry.
Okay. Your IIT Delhi or Yale?
IIT Delhi, anytime.
First year or fourth year?
Fourth year.
Library or Winty?
Library.
KLS or the mess?
KLS.
Your time during rendezvous or convocation?
Rendezvous.
And your time as a student or your current life?
Current life.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's a very thoughtful answer. So I can't back it up, but I can, whatever.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Yeah.